So welcome to the Corner Office podcast. My name is Charles, and I'm with Candice here.
Hello.
And in this episode, we wanted to talk a lot about being a new agent. We're going to title this The New Agent Playbook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the goal of this is to explain to people or somebody who's aspiring to be an agent what the journey was and how we did it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe talk about things we wish we knew, things we wish we could have done better,
Yeah.
and whatnot.
And just to hear from a perspective from two people who've been in the industry and giving you kind of the honest truth, which you don't often get. We're focused in Canada, so it'll be a bit more Canadian specific, but a lot of the topics I think kind of relate to anywhere. But it's kind of nice to hear examples of other people that have done it, because I found when I started, I didn't really have that. And it was difficult to understand like how people began.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can begin with actually the education part.
Yeah. So I probably most recently did my courses. Yeah. So now it's all with Humber. I think prior it was with Aurea.
Yeah. So this is exclusive to Ontario.
Yeah. Sorry. So this is Ontario based. Every province, I guess in the States, it's completely different. In the States, it's a lot easier. Must be nice.
Yeah.
So here it's Humber. So there's 5 courses altogether. I actually have it written down here, even though I just did it. I kind of forget. There's 2 simulations that are, I think each one of them is about 4 or 5 full days long. And I did it over Zoom. It's very long and very tedious, but you just kind of get it done. I did it over the weekends, which was tough. And then there's 4 exams in total. So it's a lot. It doesn't seem actually like that terrible, but like when you're studying for it all and just the time and the courses, it adds up.
What was the hardest part for you?
Probably time management. At the beginning, I took it slow. And then by the end, I did things so quickly. So what I would do is I would actually book my course and then book my exam 2 weeks later. So there was no option.
Yeah, I did that too, because it would force you to actually do it.
Yeah.
And
I couldn't sit around and be like, oh, I'll take it easy this month. Like, no, it was, okay, get the exam or purchase the course, purchase the exam. And then you have, with the days you have, you plan out your time and there's no leeway.
Absolutely.
That's what helped me, I found.
But what about the hardest part of the actual material?
A lot of it's the same. It's a lot of very similar concepts that are minusculely different that you need to know the minuscule difference of. And some of it's not super straightforward and not really easy to apply. Like you'd think it'd be really applicable, but it's not really all the time. The math was simple enough. I didn't find that a problem.
What about the simulations? What is that?
Oh my God, it was brutal. So it's honestly all it is. You think it's going to be like really interesting and really, what it's like to actually be in the field. It's not at all. You review the standard forms.
Okay.
So, when you...
Like you're simulating that you're actually drafting an offer, or you're...
Yeah. So, when you have the agreement of purchase and sale, all the clauses, so you're going through and you're role-playing, explaining those. And that's all the simulations are.
Yeah.
For multiple different forms, which I guess is extremely important. But the way it's done is very tediously and it didn't fit my learning style, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think everybody learns a little bit differently too.
Yeah, it was just very long and it's a very long day. And then you're like in group breakout rooms and it's a lot. And it's also not cheap.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
For sure.
So I think the course in total, it's about 5,000.
All in, roughly.
All in is around 5,000. And then what people forget is once you actually get licensed, then you need to immediately pay for insurance and your licensing, which I think is around $3,000.
Yeah, and I think in Ottawa, at least, that would include your initiation fee to the Ottawa Real Estate Board.
Yeah,
which
that's
gets
included,
you like a one-time, like I said, initiation fee to get in.
Yeah, and you need all of this. There's no option around it. So it's kind of like you finish your courses, you spend $5,000, and then you immediately go and spend another couple $1,000s, which is definitely tough.
It's an investment.
But you have to look at it like from the get-go, like this is what it's going to cost me. and go for it.
Yeah, you're investing in yourself, and it's long term, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
What is like? Because you talked about the total cost. Is that something that you feel is the right amount as somebody who done it recently?
For what I got out of it, no. Like, I mean, in terms of the content and the, like, you pay for what you get? Like, number one, there's no other option. This is the program you do. But it's very much like, here's here is a slide deck to go through, and there's a ton of them. They're okay. Like, obviously they're fine, and they're like, they're well done. But I mean, for that amount of money, it's like, oh my goodness. And then each exam you also have to pay for separately.
And what if you fail? You have to pay again?
You have to pay again.
Okay.
So I think you need to wait, is it 2 weeks or so? You have
Must
to wait
be
a
a
little bit
little
of time.
while.
And then you have to pay again. And I think it's $100
Okay.
to retake. It's just it's honestly just not ideal for time wise. It's like, oh my goodness, I have to wait.
Yeah, and if there's somebody out there who's dragging their feet, I know there's a 5-year time limit.
Yeah.
And then if you just don't get your license from the day from 5 years from the day you start, you have to start all over again, because I think a lot of things change and whatnot. But I wanted to ask you, did you feel ready for the job, ready to start right out of the gate?
Again, like, none of it's really applicable. So it's very much like legal jargon, not so much real world scenario. So yes and no. To be honest, no.
So you, if you got out of this Humber and somebody approached you, you would need guidance.
I would
of
absolutely.
What to do.
So that's why you join with a brokerage, and they obviously assist you. And it's really the brokerage that teaches you how to actually do the job. And Humber just gets you your license to do the job, but really they don't teach you how to do it. It's your brokerage that really does at the end of the day, and they set you up with, you really walk out of there and you don't know how to use any systems. You don't know, like, they teach you how to use all these forms, but you don't even know where to find the forms. So it's very like, you can't really apply anything.
Yeah. And at Royal LePage, I think they provide a good monthly training, and I think they mix it up. So advice is find a brokerage that suits what kind of look at their training schedule.
And it's not even like, I don't really love training, to be honest with you. I'm not a big training person. I more need like people I can contact. So for example, if I have a question that I need answered, like, I need someone to connect with immediately. And I always had that at Royal LePage. There was always someone I could talk to immediately with anything. So
no training. Yeah, I never did too much training as well, because I've said in the past, in the beginning of this career, I didn't focus too much on this. Yeah. So I never attended. But I even in year 8, when I started attending trainings, I've learned stuff. Like little things that maybe I've even shown you that I would have no idea.
It's my goal to do more training. I just can't really focus on it. I don't know. I just find it so difficult to focus.
Yeah, I think if it's more hands-on instead of watch a 2-hour Zoom call.
I know,
or something.
I can't do Zoom. And if it's over an hour, even if it's over half an hour, you've lost me.
Okay, so this podcast better be less than 30 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So, and then the goal of this quote unquote playbook is so that we can share our experiences. And Candice, I wanted to ask you what your expectations were of the first 6 months in this industry, and kind of how your expectation met with reality.
Yeah. So, I mean, before I got started, I listened to a lot of podcasts myself. So I tried to listen to a lot of different pieces of advice, which helped a lot. So my expectation was, for the first 6 months, you will do nothing. Like, obviously you will work, but you will do no transactions and you will make no money. And that was the perfect expectation to have. So I recommend, if you're going into it, stick with that expectation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like to say the same thing, but I mean, in their mind, they think that maybe they'll just walk in and start showing mansions.
You hope, and you want that so badly, but don't expect that, because you will be heartbroken.
Yeah, I mean,
you'll be so discouraged. Like, you will not make it if that's your expectation.
Yeah, I think patience is one big thing which maybe causes a lot of turnover in the industry.
And it's like also not sit around and wait. It's like you have to proactively be working and doing different things all the time. And you have to keep doing those things for realistically 6 months, and then things will come, hopefully. But you have to be very consistent.
Yeah. Like I find even now for myself, I still actively go and do those things, or else I'm scared that
I know.
like nothing's going to come,
I know,
or
same.
I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
And so I for me, my expectation was, yeah, same as you, like you want to expect less so you're not disappointed. So I was expecting maybe nothing for this first 6 months. Maybe I would be okay even up to a year, because you know, it's just the reality. I was younger when I started as well, so I think the mindset going into it is that, like, not to think that there's a plan B, but just accept that it may take some time.
It'll take time. Like not necessarily a plan B, but you need to make money unless you have enough savings to keep you going for 6 months. That's great. But you need to, I think, potentially have other options for the first little while, or else you'll be really stressed, and it'll show, I think, also. Like you can kind of tell when, you know, when someone's like really stressed and they like need to, you know, make a deal. It really shows.
Yeah, I think the people that it's a second career, meaning like they've established a career in whatever, and now they're transitioning into real estate. They have that little bit of luxury, maybe having some savings, to do that. But as somebody who's younger, and of course we the goal of this podcast is to encourage younger people to join into the business, because the median age is I think must be it was like in the 50s.
I think so. I think it's changing slightly, but yeah, it's definitely around that.
Yeah. So
and it is doable. It's like, it is doable. It's just like, this is the honest truth. And is it worth it? Yes. But just to keep yourself going, I think you need to have these expectations ready to go, or else you'll just be disappointed again and again. Yeah.
It's worth it. It's also, it is. It's not for everybody though.
No.
Because there's some people that don't want to manage that stress and stress of a paycheck, and stress of whether they can like deal with people always like hunting after them, calling you, texting you, emailing you, what's going, like that kind of stress and anxiety is not for everyone. So
absolutely. And I could see people kind of starting out and then getting into it and then thinking, oh,
yeah, it's overwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we can both share a couple things that we did when we started, or maybe like early out, and what worked to kind of get a couple leads or a couple things going.
I feel like when you first start, that's like all you want is a couple like good leads, even just one. It's hard to get to that point, and you kind of feel like, oh my gosh, like what can I be doing to get there? And nobody really tells you, to be honest. It's very much like connect with your sphere, promote yourself, but I feel like nothing there is really tangible. So what I personally did, which I thought really worked well for me, is actually just connecting with other agents. That worked really well. I mean, that helped me a lot. I got a lot of different referrals from different agents. It was great to work with them as well. You know, I got to learn a lot from them. And that's how I got a lot of my first leads, to be honest, just connecting with other agents. Sometimes agents are so busy and they don't have time or resources to work with specific people. And then they think of you and they're like, oh yeah, like I know this person that's, you know, new to the industry and looking for leads that I like. And then you kind of come up in their mind. Yeah. That was something that I think really, I feel like that's overlooked a lot of the time. People don't really think of doing that. But
I think people really feel like, and I've come across this a couple times, is that they feel like they have to do it all by themselves.
Yeah, no.
And like it's okay to take help and lean on somebody else. And it took me a long time to figure that out. as well, because I didn't do much of the connecting with other agents.
Okay.
I would just kind of keep to myself, and whatever I did is what I did. I was like in my own bubble.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
definitely like, if I had to start again, that's definitely not how I would do it.
Okay. And I also need to preface, like, you're not also meeting agents to be like, hi, give me leads. Like, it's more like, hey, like, I need advice. Like, what are you doing to, like, be successful?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, what's your week been like? What's your month been like? How are you find like, just literally get to know them. And I think that should obviously be priority one. And then you also just build relationships with different agents, which is great. And then sometimes, you know, they do think of you and they do send you leads, even if it's just like a rental lead. That's still great.
Yeah.
But it definitely should not be the first like point of contact. Like, hello, give me leads, please. That's just kind of icky, I think.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, you're there to help people as well. Like, sometimes people get overwhelmed. Like, hey, like, I'm here to help you. Like, do you have an open? Another thing I did, I should just say now, is I did a lot of open houses. So it was kind of, you know, I'd reach out to a lot of agents and like, if you're busy, you know, I know a lot of people are too busy. They don't have time to hold open houses. Like, I can help you with that. So then they
Yeah.
kind of took me up on that, and then kind of anything else they needed assistance with, I let them know I was there.
Yeah.
Which I thought really worked well for me. And doing open houses can sometimes be, you kind of want to say pointless. Sometimes it feels that way, but they're not. One time I ran into an agent and she was like, and I kind of was asking her advice, and she just said, keep doing open houses. Like, she's really successful. And like, I knew her just from her face because I'd seen her on signs.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, keep doing open houses. I still do them, and I'm so far into my career. And she just said, just don't stop doing them. You know, if you do
Yeah.
10 and you get like a couple buyers come through, just keep going.
Absolutely.
And I think like I needed to hear that at the time because I was kind of ready to give up. You'll hear from a lot of,
Really?
yeah, like I was kind of like reading different things and hearing from a lot of different places. Open houses are a waste of time. You know, nothing will ever come of it. So I got a bit discouraged, and then I did a couple kind of open houses that weren't really great. So now I'm a bit more selective on the open houses I do, just so I don't waste my time. Just kind of when I ran into her, it was like, just keep going, keep doing it. And now I just like, it's an opportunity to meet people, and now I try to do them as much as I can.
Yeah. My mentality is to maybe do a bit of everything and just put myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a yes man. Like, I'll say yes to everything. I think that is part of how I you know, stayed X amount of years in the business. Is just like, anytime somebody would ask me, like, yeah, I used to do open houses too. Well, I still do, actually.
Yeah, you still do.
Yeah, I still do. I try to sound cool and like, I don't do them anymore. No, I
Yeah,
still
you
do. Last weekend. So yeah, just putting yourself out there, and don't hold back. And don't take no for an answer. I learned throughout the years that if people say no to you, like, at least people are saying, or at least you're meeting people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a no is better than nothing. So one day somebody will say yes.
Yeah. And then I think another thing with open houses is one of the hardest things to do is actually collect information.
That's very hard.
It's very hard to
I'm
do.
shy sometimes with that.
I'm very shy, but I give myself a pep talk, and I think this is the reason why I am here. It's a waste of my time if I'm not collecting information, and I'm doing myself a disservice. That's the mantra I tell myself.
Okay, so that's good for you, because sometimes if I see somebody and they're like very uninterested,
You know what?
I'll
Same.
just, like,
If I ask them to sign in once and you don't sign in, you will not hear it from me again.
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, if you want to hear from me, you'll make it a little bit known. And yeah, if I will ask once, and if you do not do it once, then you know what? Happy, come on in, enjoy, look around. I'm not going to force you to, because obviously you don't want to hear from me. But definitely do your best, collect information. You know, as hard as it is, you have to do it, and just like connect with people as they come in. I don't think you can sit there and just like look at your computer. You have to be present. You have to ask questions. You have to get to know people a little bit. And it doesn't need to be a whole awkward conversation. I generally will ask like, oh, like, you know, like, do you live around the area? Like, you know, like, just, that's a probing question. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I live here. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be like, are you looking for a house? Do you have a real estate agent? Like, it doesn't need to be like that. It's just getting to know someone.
Yeah.
And if they are looking to buy a house and they like you, you will hear from them.
Absolutely.
And that's, you can't force someone to respond to you or work with you or anything. But you have to be present and make yourself known, but you cannot force anybody.
Yeah. One other thing they always tell you is, how do you connect with your sphere? I think we talked about this before actually today. I think we have a similar mindset about how we connect with our sphere. They tell you, reach out to everybody and tell them what you're doing. Tell them how excited you are and how like the classic is, which we've done. I've seen on your Facebook, and I think I've done this too. I'm so proud to announce that I've
okay,
here's my picture.
And you have to do that.
And if you have any real estate needs, please give me a call. 613 blah 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 blah.
Everybody has done that, but I'm all for that. What I am not for, what I don't personally like to do is singly message people. So I'm talking about, you formulate a message, you go to your contact list and you message every one of those people the same message. I don't like that. It kind of grosses me out. I know a lot of people do it, and that's absolutely fine. It makes me feel weird. I don't like doing it, and I think you're supposed to. I don't like to. It doesn't feel good to me. And at the end of the day, I don't want to fight for people to work with me. You know what I mean? If you want to, I'm so happy to work with you.
So you want more organic.
Absolutely, organically.
That leads back to us in the beginning, or near the beginning, saying that it takes time.
Yes. So that's the thing. Right. Everything needs to be nurtured. Everything needs to take time to grow and, you know, get yourself out there. It takes time to kind of get that idea across that I'm in this industry now, and then you can kind of prove yourself and kind of show your results. And I think that builds trust. But
because when you said, like, I don't like to just send a message to every single person and tell them I'm doing this, then it's going to take that time for them to just slowly notice you. Either on social media or in person when you meet them, you tell them, oh yeah, you know, this happened to me. And then they kind of relate it back to what you do. And then over time that gets etched into their memory, because I'll tell you, for like 5 years, all my friends would ask me, maybe even 6 years, all my friends would ask me, do you still sell real estate? Are you still in real estate?
Because you just weren't posting anything?
Yeah, because maybe I obviously was not selling as much. So it was not like there's nothing to talk about if you're not really doing much, right? You can't just...
Oh, there are things to talk about.
Yeah, like if you're not really
you do open houses
active,
for other agents. You post open houses for other agents. There's
but I wasn't
ways.
that active. I was there, but I was, like I said, do my own thing.
Totally, yeah.
So, yeah, and they would always ask me, and I would have to tell them, yes, I am still. Yes.
So, like, that's not a good question.
It's not good. You know, it's really not good. So, you if you're listening, you definitely don't want your friends asking you that.
People come up to me and they're like, oh, like, I saw like this on Facebook. I saw this on Instagram. And I'm like a little bit embarrassed because I'm like, oh, yeah. But then I'm like, okay, good. You're seeing my things.
Yeah. I think also this was like we're talking like 2015.
So it was a different time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be posting real estate on Instagram.
Like
that wasn't a thing.
Not that much. No. And like Instagram
not even
was
Facebook.
I don't know when Instagram really started popping off, probably 2013. I don't really know.
But not for business.
Not as much, yeah.
No.
It was just probably the last 5 years or so.
The last little bit.
All businesses. If you're a business and you don't have Instagram,
you're almost like not legitimate. You know what I mean? Which is the weirdest thing.
For sure.
But yeah, that's not and I think they tell you like, okay, like go reach out to every single person, you know, and like send them a letter, like, hi, like I think you can like download just like a copy paste, like, hello, like my name is Candice Trismel. I live in Ottawa and I got my real estate. You know what I mean? And that's just not what I wanted to do. And I didn't feel comfortable with that. And I think a lot of people were saying, you know, do that. Like, and it seemed very much like I'm not selling makeup here.
So you're like your sphere of influence will slowly grasp onto the fact that you are selling real estate.
And I think and they know. I mean, they know I have. And if they want to work with me, you know, I'm in real estate. Great. I'm happy to work with you. Like reach out to me, connect with me anytime. But I don't want to be messaging people and annoying them because I don't like when people do that to me. And I don't want to do that to other people. And I think that seems unprofessional, to be honest. I know everyone's been reached out to by everybody saying, hey, like, do you want to join this business? Hey, do you want to buy this amazing product? I think consumers and just people as a whole are over that.
Yeah.
I don't think it works anymore. I think it might have worked maybe a couple of years ago. I don't think it does anymore.
Yeah. I have one piece of advice that I wanted to share. It's like, don't be shy to do the dirty work. Meaning, like, if you're brand new to this and you have nothing going on, even helping somebody for free, getting into the room with somebody who's super successful and learning from them, like you said before, they're gonna think of you. And I think if they need something one day and you've always been there to help them for little things that are quote unquote free, and after some time they're gonna come to you if they need something that
Absolutely.
you can get paid for.
I mean, that's what you hope, but that's not always the case. I feel like just depends on who, pick your agents you want to get to know wisely and make sure you have a good relationship with them. And I feel like that's really good advice, but also like make sure you're not being taken advantage of.
For sure.
I think in some ways I did a couple things where looking back, that wasn't really appropriate.
But getting taken advantage of sometimes, it's like the part of the process of like learning what you have to learn by, like I'm definitely like that, is like you learn by trying things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So getting screwed over once, you know
learn.
Exactly. So if you don't do anything and you just very guarded, maybe you're not going to get a lot of opportunities. And
no. That's exactly right. Actually, like, do things, and if you get screwed over, like, okay, at least you tried, you learned.
Exactly.
And then eventually, when you become kind of like, the longer you've been in the business, if someone's kind of at one point looking to you for mentorship, you won't do those things.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to be kind of a good like role model or leader. Or, I don't know.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like help people out, but also like remember, like, you have your license, your time is worth something. You also need to experience a lot and do a lot for free. But I think if you're driving an hour to do, or like an hour there, an hour back to do a showing, for buyers that aren't yours, I multiple times, like, I personally don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, no, I meant like, little things around the office, like we hang out in the office, and if there's somebody that would need our help, we're for sure gonna help them, like building that relationship. And if you're new, people will throw you bones, and you'll take anything you can get, right? That's more so what I meant than like empty-handedly just going out and doing.
I guess that's what I was doing.
Okay.
And then realizing, oh wait, maybe this isn't what I should be doing. But it's all like a learning experience, and it all works out. Yeah. But so definitely help other agents, do as much as you can. Don't expect a paycheck till after 6 months. And if you get one prior, that's amazing.
I've got a couple more things I want to, like, little tips that I want to share. Maybe we could take like a 2-second break and come back and continue the podcast.
Sure.
All right. Okay, so we're back. Candice, you said you had a few things. Well, I have a couple kind of tips I wanted to share as well, but maybe we can start with you. You had a couple things that you maybe would share with somebody who's maybe struggling.
Yeah, so I just kind of had a couple points. I think if you're starting and you're struggling, we've all been there. It sucks.
Yeah, and you're like tangible goals.
You just need tangible things you can do, and that can be hard to find. It sounds so weird, like, what can I do? And you don't know. I wrote down a couple. So I think for the next, so let's say, you're starting out. I think for the next 3 months, you should strive to hold one open house per week. I don't think that's too difficult. Like, ideally on a Sunday. How do I do that? Okay, so you reach out to other agents in your brokerage, either get to know them, or you can just email them, look at the new listings, see what's coming up, and reach out and say, can I hold an open house for you? And your goal should be to do one every week, I think, and you will get business from that. Collect information, interact with people, provide, offer them, provide service. Like, if don't just hand out your business card, like, oh, what are you interested in? Like, there's one down the street that's actually cheaper. Let me send you that one.
And just know your stuff. You have to know your stuff if you're going to go to the open house, right? And instead of just go there. Yeah, like you said,
and
hand out business card.
No, that doesn't work.
Know do a little bit of research about the last sales, like you said. Do a little bit of research about the reasons why somebody want to live in this area. And if it's not a listing on your team or you don't know the listing very well, you should find out.
Yeah, I mean, you should definitely know as much as you can about the listing. But then even if people walk through like, oh, I don't really like this one. Okay, you know what? There's actually one like a couple blocks away that's cheaper and has this. I can show it to you if you'd like. Oh, okay, yeah, email it to me. So it's like providing service versus being like, I need to collect information, I think is the way to go. So I think schedule one once per week and something will come of it.
Okay.
It just will. Another kind of item I would say is connect with one new real estate agent per week.
Okay.
So you'll need about 12. Connect with them.
And what's the reasoning behind that?
Build relationships, build connections, offer your support, offer your help to them. Okay. They will remember you, and you don't need to continuously follow up with them, but just build a relationship, follow each other on Instagram. You'll connect and they'll think of you and they'll remember you when they're swamped. And it's happened to me and they don't have time anymore to deal with specific buyers. They thought of me, which is they wouldn't have done that prior if I hadn't reached out to them. So, I mean, I think that's huge just to kind of get your foot in the door. And then I think it's really important to also just expand your business network. So going into this, you're thinking like, oh, okay, like I need clients, but you also need professionals on your side that you can trust. So you need to meet with a lawyer, you need to meet with a mortgage broker and a home inspector. I think those are the three main partners I utilize very often. And it's just important to build those relationships, not necessarily to, get clients, because realistically you'll be giving them more clients than you're getting. Yeah. But it's important that when you do eventually get a client, you have these contacts ready to go, that know you and you know them, and you can all work kind of cohesively together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And cool. you never know. They might throw you a lead. Who knows? But that's definitely not the point. It's just build that network and just consistently do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's awesome. What I wanted to add to that was when you said the word consistency is something that's important, and don't let that flame that is underneath you just die out quickly.
Yeah. No.
You have to, like, patience and consistency go hand in hand, I find. And if you're going to do something like those open houses, don't just do it for 2 weeks and then be like,
no, you have to do, I have done, like, I will actually tell you, I have done maybe, how many open houses do you think I've done? 20?
I was thinking more than that.
You know what? I don't even know anymore. Maybe 20, arguably more. I have had one client come out of it, one transaction come out of it, but it was my highest transaction that I've ever done. So it made all of those open houses extremely worth it, and I will do another 20, 30, 40 more.
That's amazing.
So that's the ratio for me. I had 20 open houses, one amazing client that ended up in a transaction.
That's amazing. Yeah, like, and it's worth it.
So that's my personal experience. Everyone has kind of different experiences, but I think the assumption is you do 1 or 2 open houses and you meet a handful of clients. No, you'll do a couple open houses and reach out to people and you'll never hear from them again. Yeah. And that's okay, because all you need is 1 out of 20 to be my biggest transaction. I mean, is extremely worth it to me, and I'm really happy I kept going.
That's something to be proud of, for sure.
Thank you. So keep going if that's what you're doing. I know some days I remember one time sitting in an open house and nobody came. It was my only open house where no one came. And I was like so defeated. I was like, oh my God, like what a waste of my day. What a waste of my time. And you're going to have days like that. It's okay. Everybody does. And it'll work. Just keep doing it.
Speaking of your largest transaction, I wanted to touch base a little bit about managing your earnings. And I think a lot of people, myself namely, not the best at managing my earnings. I have somebody, my wife, who kind of calms me down a little bit sometimes.
Thank God.
Yeah, because if you get too high on the highs when you make a transaction, before it closes and you get the paycheck, you start going crazy. A lot of people actually often forget that they've got to pay taxes. It's not like a
Yeah.
traditional job where when you get your paycheck, everything
No.
you've already paid it. So obviously, depending on your tax bracket wherever you are,
Yeah.
that could be anywhere from like 10 to 50%.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like you got to really budget for that.
You do. It's like you can't. I don't like to count anything until the funds are in my account.
Okay.
So it's like I don't like to spend anything before, even though I know things are coming. I don't believe it until it's there. And I didn't realize that in this industry, I'm definitely a spender, I would say. When I have a steady paycheck coming in, I spend it. I love to spend. But in this industry, I find I'm so much more stressed about income because you're not getting a steady paycheck that I hate spending money. Like, I don't hate spending money, but I'm really thoughtful about it. I still spend a lot, but things I could like, I think a couple of years ago, if I made X amount of dollars off a transaction, I'd be like, I'm going to Mexico. Like, I'm going to go buy this. Like, that is not no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, kind of continue living the same way I am now. And just kind of, it's just the feeling like it could all fall apart.
Yeah.
Is
I
so
think about that every day.
scary. It's so freaky. So it's not the way I thought I would feel. But I definitely do, which I guess I'm a little bit thankful for because I feel like I could blow everything and get everything, you know, I've ever wanted. But it's kind of more of just like, just hold back.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one of the my first better years, I wasn't that mindful, let's say. And then it came down to tax paying time. And I was like, oh my God, I need a line of credit to pay.
Did you have anything put aside for taxes?
So, yes, no. Like, I think it was one of the years actually, or the year before I got married.
Okay.
And yeah, like that was also a big expense, of course, like getting married and stuff like that. But yeah, like no, I don't put that much money aside, or I'm not very like diligent with that, which is why I brought this up. That you should try to be at least. And
what I try to do is like when I get like a transfer into my account, I'll like do the math and put aside. I literally have another account for taxes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And I
That's
just
smart,
throw, and it's literally money. It's there. I can use it, but it's like not my money. And it just sits there because I know that day will come and I'm going to cry, but it's money that's already there. It's not mine. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I try to do that because I know I will be devastated.
Yeah.
When I have to pay.
Yeah. I had to take a line of credit. But you know, thankfully it was paid off not too long from like after, but yeah, it's kind of weird because you feel like you're on top of the world, and then when it comes down to taxes, you're like at the bottom of the barrel, and then now you kind of come back a little bit. So it's a lot of up and down. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and one last thing I wanted to touch base on before we end is managing emotions.
Yeah,
we didn't really talk about that, and I think a lot of people may not feel like, you know, maybe they think it won't faze them, but
something you won't think about until it happens. You will not think about it.
Yeah, but managing the emotions of the high and the lows and the disappointment and the excitement.
And it's you personally, not your clients. It's your own emotions is what we're talking about.
Yes. Like a client comes to you, I want to buy a house. 2 weeks later, you know what? I'm good. I'm not working with you anymore. I found somebody better. You know, stuff like that. Or you know, you've been working with somebody for a long time. They just ditch you, and you were about to get a deal done, and then it all fell apart, and then you got nothing. So that thrill is great, but you have to manage the highs and lows. And for me, it was so many years of woo and low and high, low, high, low. You know,
it's I
think you've done a good job.
I try. So one of the first, like, I guess like larger transaction I did. Well, it wasn't a transaction because it didn't work out. But I was very invested, and I was like, I couldn't like function. I was so stressed about it. Like, I wrote the offer and I was so anxious, nervous, stressed, like, oh my God, okay, it's going to happen. We're going to get it. And we did not get it. We were like almost the same price, but it's okay. And then it was like the major low, and I was like, I cannot do that again, because I so thought in my head we had this.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way we're not getting this. And I will never think that way again. I will never do that again. It was a major mistake. I will write an offer and I'll do my best. And I'll be like, this is an amazing offer. I'll work my hardest to get it done. But my mindset is, if we don't get it, no worries. We move on to the next. And we just keep going.
Yeah, good for you.
I don't know, because I just
Took me a
couldn't. I'm
long
like, I
time.
cannot do that again. I'm going to lose years of my life.
I felt like I've done that. I lost years of my life. I'm still a little bit like that. I'm
Okay.
a sensitive person,
Well,
I would say.
Yeah, same to a point. It's really hard just to be like,
You
no
can't.
emotion. You
can't be
can't. And in
thinking-
some
you
ways,
can't
you
not
need
think about
the
it.
emotion to kind of keep you moving.
Yes.
But you need to like watch yourself, because I think it's exhausting. And you just have to, I think, like, what's the saying? Like, don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
Literally do not do that. Because you'll just be so sad.
Yeah, as tough as it is, if you don't do that, yeah, you'll be overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll be overwhelmed. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that was fun, and it's nice to have another podcast in the books.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. Yeah.
Do open houses, meet new agents. Keep going with tangible items is
Amazing.
my advice. I was just very sorry. I was very sick of hearing connect with your sphere. What else did they tell you to do? Meet people. Like, I need tangible items.
Yeah.
And those are 2 tangible items for you. And the third is connect with business professionals that you will need to work with eventually.
Awesome.
Yeah. So good luck.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be excited for the next one. Bye.
Bye.